Is back into it in Chester. Here's El Senior. Yes! Yes!
The center back, Jacob Glesnes,
He's going for it.
Oh my goal! What a goal!
And that will do it. One of the best comebacks in recent years. 3 unanswered by the Union. And they go into the Gold Cup break, winning it 3-2.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and this is the first time ever that I have recorded a podcast while I've been away on vacation. I currently don't have a chair, so I'm doing this whole podcast standing up, which feels so strange. But we're going to see how I get going this whole episode. We are live on Twitter Spaces. Hopefully we get a bunch of you guys listening on Twitter Spaces. Hopefully we get some of you guys on here speaking about some of today's conversations, and hopefully that gives me the ability to go ahead and sit down and just listen to what you guys have to talk about with the Union. Again, recording this podcast live on Twitter Spaces as I am on vacation with the hurricane in Florida, going to be pushing its way towards South Carolina where I'm vacationing. It's best that we leave South Carolina on Thursday as opposed to Saturday, and so we're going to go ahead and get this podcast up as soon as possible, probably not edit it at all. And we'll go ahead and talk about today's topics, which are MLS's 22 for 22 that they released, a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago. This is our midweek Twitter Spaces podcast live. We have Ricky Zelfo, Kyle Almany, no surprise there, frequent listeners of the podcast, contributors when we go live on Twitter Spaces. So I thank both of those guys for being here. And so I asked Ricky and a friend of ours, Ed, I was like, hey, give me topics to talk about on Twitter Spaces. Because as I told you guys last episode, I would be on vacation. So, yeah, I would love to have had a commentator from Charlotte come on, thinking Lloyd Sam. But I was like, I want to enjoy myself on vacation. I was like, I do also want to do an episode. And I know last time I was down in South Carolina, Ricky did an episode, and I told him, okay, do whatever you want, just don't talk about Anthony Fontana the whole time. And obviously you guys didn't get a episode with Ricky, and you guys really won't get a match preview. I mean, I'm sure we can talk about the Charlotte game, depending on who all joins and whatnot, but like I said, the first topic of tonight, we'll talk about the 22 for under 22. And so the Union had 3 players come on this list, with Jack McGlynn, number 10, Paxton Aronson, 12, and Leon Flock, number 14. And for you guys that aren't sure what the 22 for under 22 is, the age cutoff is players have to remain 21 years or younger before the end of the 2022 MLS regular season. Decision day is on October 9th of 2022, in case you guys have forgot. And in other words, you have to have been born on or after October 10th of 2000. And so that's what qualifies you to get on this 22 for 22 list. And we'll go ahead and start with Jack McGlynn at number 10. Ricky or Kyle, your thoughts on Jack McGlynn being the highest rated Union player at number 10 on this list?
I think I think Jack being number 1 of the 3 makes the most sense. Because if we're talking about on the field impact, which is what it's supposed to be now, whereas a lot of the writers, when they were talking about it in the most recent extra time that they had the discussion about the 22 under 22, it's not as much of a conversation about the possibilities of the future for these players as it is what they're doing now. So it kind of makes sense if you look at some of the players at the top, like Gaga, who, while Chicago's not good, he's got 12 clean sheets for the Chicago Fire. That's a pretty impressive thing to do. Almada's been pretty impressive when he just played for Argentina the other day. He's got 2 caps for Argentina, and he could theoretically go to the World Cup for one of the top 3 countries in the world right now. So for a lot of those players, it makes sense. And Jack, for the second half of the season, has probably been, and overall the whole season has probably been, of the 3 players, the most intriguing on he is good right now, but he is also going to be good in the future. And I think when you look at the other two Union players, Paxton and Leon, one of them is definitely on here because of potential, whereas one of them is on here because he's been a starter for the team for the last 2 years. And I know one of the things that Todd and certain other people might have been upset with me last year about is the conversation that, and we've somehow reached the Anthony Fontana part of this podcast, that Anthony couldn't play over Paxton when, Paxton came on, scored against New England, did all that stuff. Well, we're at the point where Paxton's not playing but 5 minutes a game, and that's sparingly. And yes, he's behind one of the best number 10s in the league. But at certain points, you're up 6-0 and you're not subbing this guy on. That's not a great sign. Whereas, and I think this is a bigger discussion, and I think is one of the reasons I brought this up to Todd, was that in my book, if we're looking at it more on what is this player doing now, Jack should be above Paxton, but Leon should also be above. As Paxton's played 10 games this year, and he's got 150 minutes, maybe being maybe 200. I don't know. He's probably started once, and I completely forgot about it. But he hasn't done much, right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong here? Leon's, again, backing player, but for what he does a good job.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not wrong about Paxton Aronson. Looking at his numbers right here, he's played 22 games this season, 2 starts with 384 minutes. His lone goal coming against Cincinnati in that terrible away game to go to this season in the 3-1 defeat to Cincinnati. But yeah, I mean, you look where Paxton Aronson isn't even the first substitute to come off the bench. It's been Corey Burke. And then once it's not Corey Burke, it goes to Jack McGlynn. And Paxton Aronson has not seen the amount of minutes I'm sure that he would have liked this season. And you look at a player like Quinn Sullivan, who I think Union fans have been talking about this the last couple of years, where the whole reason you signed Quinn was because he's talented. It's not because he fits the system. Quinn Sullivan does not fit the system. Quinn's a right winger. And the Union don't play with wingers. We saw them get rid of Fafa Pico when Ernst Tanner came in and change up the system in 2019. All right, well, Fafa, we're going to see what you can do up top. He's not a striker. He's a winger. And we see what he's doing with the Houston Dynamo. We saw what he did with FC Dallas. And to see Quinn Sullivan now go in to get garbage minutes, a minute here, 2 minutes there, and he's not really taking that right side of the diamond spot where fans would think that he would get. He's going up there as a second striker, and Quinn, in my opinion, is not a second striker. And you look at Chris Donovan, who has played 6 games this season, 1 start, 105 minutes. The Union don't use a whole bunch of players to come off the bench. It's either Corey Burke and Jack McGlynn, and that's it. And then you'll get Paxton Aronson for a minute here, 2 minutes there, but that's it. And I think Paxton is a great player to come off the bench, but I agree with you. I think Paxton's on this list because of potential, not with what he's done this season. Kyle, I'll throw it to you. Paxton Aronson on this list ahead of Leon Flock, mind you, at number 12.
So, getting back to originally, I have no problem with Jack at 10, but I agree with both of you. I think Leon's ahead of Paxton. Now, I will say this with Paxton. Having watched him on YouTube, having watched him at the U20s, I think he's a little out of position as well at times within our system. But I agree. I think it's more on potential. But he's done some great things for not the first team necessarily, but for the other leagues, for the U20s, the U2. So from that angle, I think that's kind of why he's on that list. And I agree with you both. Quinn is not a fit for this system. I think Quinn's going to be a great player. I'm kind of shocked he wasn't on that list, but I get why he wasn't. But I definitely agree. I mean, Leon defensively is elite. I mean, say what you want. You might laugh at that, but I think Leon is one of the elite people, in terms of defense in the league. We can go away from let's be honest, his offensive, while gotten better, it still has a lot to be desired. But I think where he's at, he should be ahead of Paxton. Actually, I think they should flip flop those two positions, if I'm being honest. But that's my 2 cents. I do agree with Jack being where he's at. I mean, he sees the game so well. I mean, that's his big thing. I don't like when he's necessarily in for Allie. I like more when he's in for Leon. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah, overall the list is good.
I just did a quick look, and Leon was number 15 last year, and he's number 14 this year, which I think says more about, and this is a wider thing, about defensive players. And to a certain extent, if you're not a goalkeeper, you're not a striker / attacking midfielder, they're not doing a great job of, rating you on a grander.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, unless you're Tolkien from Red Bull. But he's also very back.
Yeah, I agree. And for people that aren't aware of the list for the 22 under 22 is the topic we're talking about for people that are now just joining on Twitter Spaces. The top 5 are number 1, Jesus Ferrer. I think we all agree with Jesus should probably be number 1. 2, Thiago Almeida, like Ricky talked about. Just got game time with Argentina's national team, full national team, I might add. His first time getting the call up. 3, Talles Magno with New York City. I think, again, you definitely can put him in the top 5 because once we saw Tati leave New York City, who's been the best player for New York City since Tati's departure? And it's been Talles Magno, I would argue. And I think we even saw last year when Talles started getting more consistent game time, getting used with his teammates, we could see that he was a good player. And I remember all the rumors back in the day that, look, if COVID didn't happen, Talles wouldn't have went to New York City. He would have went to Europe. But because Brazilian teams were so desperate to sell players to make money because of the money they were losing because of COVID, they took the first offer they got from New York City, and that's how he wound up in MLS. And he won't be long for MLS, in my opinion. We go to number 4 with Gaga Salina. We already know that he's going to Chelsea after the end of this MLS season. And then number 5, defender for LA Galaxy, Julian Araujo, who's been phenomenal for them this season. And we've seen reports linking him with a potential move to Europe. And so I think they got the top 5 right. And you look, again, Leon Flock, I think you guys both said it, should be ahead of Paxton Aronson. How can you rate a player that's only played 22 games this year, only 2 starts, has played over 300 minutes, where you get a regular starter, one of our best defenders? He's one of our best players for the way that we play. He's not going to win MVP votes at all, but he's so special for this system, for the way that the Union want to play. And so to see Leon Flock, yes, get recognized, I think is great. I'm happy that the voters at MLS that voted for this list, I'm happy to see them giving this recognition to Leon Flock, but I think 14 is a little bit low. Where you look at Paxton Aronson, yes, like you guys both said, you were rating him because of his potential, not because of what he's done this season. Yeah, he's been phenomenal with the U20s. Same with Jack McGlynn. But here's the thing, right? Jack McGlynn's making more of an impact for the first team than Paxton Aronson. And I get it. The whole argument it is, because Daniel Gazag's playing in front of Paxton Aronson. That's why Paxton can't get into the lineup, because you have a potential MVP candidate in his position. But, we've seen Jim Curtin rotate Leon Flock, we've seen him rotate Ali Bedoya and get Jack McGlynn in the game. And so, in my opinion, if Paxton Aronson was pushing for starting minutes, Jim Curtin would find a way to get him into this lineup, whether it be as a second striker, like we've seen Quinn Sullivan get more minutes with Paxton. But that's not been the case this season. Going back to Jack McGlynn, though, number 10 on the list, and sorry that I'm out of breath. Like I said, on vacation, and the room that I'm in does not have a chair, so I'm recording a podcast standing up for the very first time. My mic is as high up as it can go, so it's a little bit awkward bending over talking into the mic. But Jack McGlynn, number 10 on this list, he's been phenomenal this season. And you look at all the homegrown players. I said this at the end of last season that out of Quinn, Paxton, Jack McGlynn, I did think Jack McGlynn was the best homegrown player out of all of them. And now we've seen him get starts this season. We've seen him play the most minutes out of all the homegrowns. And I don't think it's crazy to say he'll be the first homegrown to leave this team, right?
I don't think so. I think he will be the first one. So yeah, no, it's not crazy at all. I just want to know when. Is it going to be this winter? I mean, is it going to be next summer? I think we've already seen some reports of teams scouting and monitoring his situation. I think he will be the first one of those four.
Say that specifically of the U24, I think go, but I don't think any of them go until just because even if you're saying, oh, a lot of teams are interested in him, he potentially can really easily get an Irish passport so he can go to any EU nation on a relatively easy, ability to get to that work permit. The only player that we've really sold without a proof of concept, so to speak, is Jack DeVries, and that's just because we sent him out on a flyer for a year and was just like, see what you can do. We'll let you have him because we're not going to use him. I think we could end up doing something similar with a player like Quinn next year, where in January, we let some team take a chance on him, or the other one and not in this group, the other one that potentially, and I'm sure certain people won't take this one well, Matt Freese could definitely get sent somewhere on loan or just sold to somebody in the way. Hey, go have fun. You're never going to play for us anyways. I think with the 4 U20 kids, the U20 World Cup is next summer, right? Or next spring, maybe. I don't think you would want to try to sell any of them until after that as a sale. And the other thing is, it does sort of sound like maybe Leon might be leaving. And if he's not leaving, I feel like it's to a certain point where Jack might just be a better option than him as a starter, unless we somehow have to force him into left back. And at that point, I think you also have to give Matt Rael a chance, because if Kai's gone, which he should be at this point, right? You'd hope. We've been waiting forever for that. I just don't know if you've got the position there for Leon anymore, which is kind of crazy because we just had this conversation about how Leon's better than Paxton. But I don't think at this point you can have the argument that Leon's better than Jack. He's just a better fit for what you're doing. And 3 months from now, maybe Jack has developed that ability to not be 30 yards away every time the ball's in his defensive area of the field and then have to awkwardly jog out there. I feel like you could get him doing the pacer test, right? He could learn that ability, right? What is going on? Am I alone?
I'm here.
Having internet issues there, but to your point, yeah, I mean the lights keep flickering in this house, and it's like a hurricane's not even close to South Carolina yet, and it's like, man, am I gonna lose power? Or, are we gonna lose this Twitter Spaces? So yeah, I'm here. I'm glad that didn't lose power, but yeah, I heard you, Ricky, and again, if things are cutting out, it's because I'm on trash internet, I'm on vacation and everything, but hopefully you guys can hear all the people speaking clearly. But yeah, just going back to what you said, I think we can all agree that if Leon Flock had the offensive abilities of a Jack McGlynn, then Leon Flock would still be in Germany with St. Pauli, or he would be with another Bundesliga club. And we saw reports from, I forget what newspaper it was in Germany, saying that, Leon Flock could leave at the end of the season to go back to Germany, to go back to the Bundesliga, which, Leon Flock's offensive abilities have risen from last year to this year. And I talked to him a couple times in the locker room about that. You guys have heard quotes from Leon Flock on this podcast talking about how he's taken pride in how he's gotten better offensively. But Jack McGlynn, I do think it's interesting because we've seen reports, I believe, with PSV. Yes, we've seen the Irish Federation really push to get Jack McGlynn in the national team. And Jack McGlynn's kind of bulkhead offers hasn't really taken up the approaches from Ireland because he wants to represent America. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't change his name. I mean, his decision. But right now, I mean, he's been playing with every youth team with the U.S. and it's been a main staple for the U20s. The reason why they qualified for the tournament in the summertime. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if Jack McGlynn does wind up with the Irish national team, but it's always a possibility, right? And the question is, okay, how much longer are we going to have Jack McGlynn here, especially when he probably should be starting every game? There's a lot of teams in MLS where Jack McGlynn would get into the starting 11, but because Leon Flock does so much for this team defensively, it's hard to get Jack McGlynn in with playing time. And then we see Ali Bedoya signs a new contract extension for the 2023 season. And you would look at that, okay, well, if Ali retires after the season, doesn't come back, okay, Jack McGlynn could go and play in Ali's position. We've seen him on the right this season. But because Ali's coming back, I don't see Ali taking a step on the bench. He still offers something to this team. We're seeing him having a career year offensively with the Union. And this team just looks totally different when he's not on the field. Just look at that game in Atlanta. Now, granted, I think part of that reason's because they were playing on terrible turf, which this game Saturday, surprise, the Union are playing on turf again. So we'll see how the Union do this time around on turf in Charlotte if that game does not get called off. As things stand here Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m., the game has not been called off. So we shall see if that game still goes on. I know I've seen speculation that, okay, they could look for a neutral venue. DC would be the closest stadium as DC United are away. Could that happen? I don't know. We'll see. DC is going to get a lot of rain too because of this hurricane. So if rain really is the major concern, why this game doesn't get played over the weekend, why would they go down to DC? So keep an eye out on that one. But I don't have too much more to add for this 22 under 22 list. For everybody that's here on Twitter Spaces, if you guys want to talk about this list, any players that you guys think got snubbed, what Union players you think should have been higher on this list, go ahead and join the conversation, and we'll go ahead and talk about it. But if not, Ricky, Kyle, you guys have anything else to add to this list? If not, we'll go on to the next topic.
No, I think we covered everything.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and talk about another topic that Ricky wanted to bring up. Spoiler alert. The next two topics are both suggestions from Ricky, and I thought they were really good suggestions. So let's go ahead and talk about your favorite moment in the Lightning kit, the BYU for you kits from the 2021 season, 2022 season. This game in Charlotte will be the last time the Union wear this jersey unless they have to go on the road in the playoffs. And so this was, in my opinion,
assuming we wear them in this game, Todd, because it might clash anyways.
Hey, I mean, a light blue jersey and a light blue. I mean, I guess we could wear a dark blue. I don't know. Maybe we wear a white kit or something. I don't know. I feel like that clashes too. But the Lightning kit is going to be no more. Apparently, the rumors are the new jersey for next season on the road is supposed to be better than this Lightning kit, but this has been a fan favorite. One of the best jerseys in MLS, in my opinion, one of the best the Union have ever had. And there's been just so many great moments we've seen this season, last season in this jersey. And so I'll let you guys go first before I give my top 3 moments watching the Union play in these jerseys. Ricky, if you want to go first, go for it.
I'm going to be honest, Kyle, I came up with the question, but that doesn't mean I had an answer for the question. So if you want to come up with an answer for this question, you can go ahead.
So I guess my top 3 moments, and I see my wife is in the spaces as well, so she can, if she wants to jump up, she can too. But I would say our top 3 moments. Number 3 would be witnessing the first win at Yankee Stadium. I believe they were wearing the yellows, the away one at that. And then probably next would be, I would have to say probably DC. I mean, that was an epic game. That was an epic time. And then probably my favorite game of all of those was probably when this year when we were at Red Bulls. Those would probably be my top 3. In terms of games I've watched, I'm trying to remember. I mean, there's been so many, let's be honest, there's been so many great moments with those kids. I mean, these last 2 years. So, I mean, just off the top of my head, those would be my top 3 moments.
And the funny thing is, let's not even talk about like your top 3 moments with this jersey worn. Like, you're not even wearing this jersey, Kyle, and bringing this team good luck. You and your wife, Jillian, are wearing a Pride jersey, I believe it is, warm up one of them, and then the you have like a 2017, I think, home jersey you wear too. And so, like, your best moments in this jersey haven't even been with you wearing this jersey. And so, I found that interesting, right?
It is, and I'm telling you that. I mean, and I was getting flack for wearing it at the friendly this week, and we won. So the streak continues. So
I did give you a lot of stick.
Oh, good. But no, I mean, I think those are some of the moments from a team's standpoint. I mean, the crazy thing is, I got that jersey this year on eBay for, I think, what was it, like, I think I told you it was like $20 or $30 on eBay, and like I was like, I'm gonna add this to my collection. I wore it once, and I think I wore it to the. I'm pretty sure I wore it to the. Which game was that? That was when we were getting all those really bad draws. It was the Montreal game, and I never wore it again. So.
Good, Ricky, and then I'll go ahead and let Jillian give hers.
I just did a quick search through my Instagram just to like remember like what was I wearing when we went to these games. This jersey has been on a journey across the United States, Mexico, and Costa Rica with me. Most importantly, I don't know if the team was wearing it when we went to Atlanta last year, but I was definitely wearing it when Jacob Glesnes scored another banger. Which, by the way, for those at home listening to this podcast, if you want to bet on anybody to score a goal this weekend, if the game gets played, because I am flying to the game, if it happens, of course, Jacob Glesnes is probably going to score a goal. That's just the rules. LA, Atlanta, you know? Anyways, beyond that, let's see. This is the jersey I got to watch. I got to hold the shield for the first time in. That was a great moment. Todd's there, Shelby's there, Ed's there. That's actually the day we all met each other for the first time in person. Fun fact. Yeah, after like a year of knowing each other. Me, Ed, and Todd met each other a year after knowing each other. It's kind of weird if you think about it. Pandemic, it happens. But yeah, just a lot of games. Obviously, I can't like. I was thinking like, oh, do I remember like moments that the team on the field was was wearing them? And the one that I thought of was like that first regular season game against like New York or Miami, where they wore the Lightning kits at home, and like they unveiled the 2020 Shield thing. Everybody was like super psyched. And then because we were in Champions League, we just got like beat by New York or Miami. I don't know which one it was, but it was hilarious because it was like, we finally get to wear these kits in like a home game. We all get to see it, and then you lose. I don't know why that was specifically hitting my head right now, but that's just this thought I had. But yeah, it's gonna be a whole thing next year to have a new. I haven't bought the new jersey. I don't know if I'm going to. I am thinking about buying before the end of the season because they keep running those deals. I might buy a second one of these and like go authentic on it. Just go for the whole thing. We'll see though, because it's a fantastic jersey. If I'm gonna get an authentic jersey, this would be the jersey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially if they discount it. Jillian, first time I believe talking on the podcast. Not the first time that we've spoken. So yeah, welcome. Thank you for. Go ahead, speaking, and your favorite moments in the Lightning Kick jersey.
Yeah, so for me, I had to agree with pretty much Kyle. I was kind of predicting what he was going to say there, because for me, it was definitely the same ones he said, but I think my favorite was the away game at NYC this year, because that was my first away game, and I had a blast at it, doing the bus trip, and just like beating NYCFC on their, kind of their turf, right? Yankee Stadium. Yeah, that was just sweet, sweet revenge and just great game. So much fun. So probably that and DC and then Red Bull, all those away games this year. But yeah, the mojo from the like wearing the Unity jersey and Kyle wearing his jersey. Yeah, like I don't know, those are my favorite jersey moments, even though it's not the Lightning one. But yeah, I guess we got to keep that going.
Yeah, no, you can't change it. You guys, I don't think I've seen a loss this season in it. I'm pretty sure. So hopefully that continues this season, and come playoff time, hopefully that luck does not run out. And kind of following what all of you guys have said, obviously the Atlanta beatdown, I think the 3-0 and CCL play, even though it wasn't there, that moment really stands out for me where, yeah, we're going into a hostile environment where we've not had luck in Atlanta. We'd never beaten Atlanta United down there. And so to beat them 3-0 with Casper scoring twice, Anthony Fontana scoring, I believe, also in that match. And then obviously the Jacob Glesnes triple crossbar in Atlanta that tied the game at 2. And then the DC United beat down this season, the 6-0 win for the Union. I mean, we've had so many great moments in this jersey. And to hear fans that are on the committee board, to come up with each year's jerseys, say, yeah, well, we all know that you guys loved the away jersey the last 2 seasons. Well, this one's going to be even better. I'm not sure how you make a jersey that's one of the best, if not the best in MLS, even better going forward. I'm curious if the Union are going to stick with that color scheme, the light blue and the yellow, or are they going to go back to a white jersey? I feel like white jerseys are so bland. I know we've only seen the Union have a black jersey once. That was 2013. The Bethlehem Steel kit, I want to say, came out then. So, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, but I really love this combination that we've seen the last 2 years with the away jersey. And I don't know, just something about it screams Philadelphia to me. I know the joke was, oh, you guys are copying the then San Diego Chargers with their colors, but no, it's not. It's not. It's and I'll probably get a lot of slack for this from listeners that are listening to this podcast, where I said it was, a color scheme from the Philadelphia flag, and they're like, no, it's not. It's from the Sons of Ben. So I'm ready for all the hate mail that I get in the DMs for saying that they took inspiration from the flag of the Philadelphia state flag. But I'm sure you guys will go ahead and talk about your favorite away trips being New York City, Jillian and Kyle. I'm sure you'll say going up to New York Red Bulls were some of your favorite. Is that along the lines, Kyle or Jillian, whichever one of you guys want to go first for your favorite away trips that you've been on?
I would say for me this year, I think that the DC game was just fun because we had that disappointing loss in Dallas. Now, it was like 100 degrees in Dallas that night. But I remember her and I were going up an elevator from our parking garage, and we were talking to a gentleman, and he was all excited. And they had looked, wasn't that the game they had just beaten Orlando or something? Or they just playing a close game with Orlando? So we were all kind of like, wow, what do we expect? And just to have like that first couple minutes where Rafael Morrison almost scored and Blake makes that great save, and then just, Gazdag scores that PK, and then the floodgates open. That was an exciting game. I just loved that game, and then I think one of my favorite parts was that guy. If anybody else remembers, on Twitter, like the next day gives like that hour-long like rant on DC, which was just hilarious, and about the supporters group leaving. And then I think this latest trip to Red Bulls was great, just because I'd never been there, and it was a great stadium. And it was a fun time with the Sons of Ben. And we were just so loud. You could hear us on television. And it was just a great game overall. And that was probably my second. And New York was just a great time as well. And I obviously seen that postage stamp of a of a banner that they have there hanging in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, like the energy at New York Red Bull was just insane. Like the amount of people that we had go to that game was just incredible. And being up there in those stands and looking over, like when the game's on, like that is their supporter section. Like I turned to I'm like, that's their supporter section? Like, what? So, but yeah, the postage stamp at Yankee Stadium, then that was pretty funny. And also like just random fact, by the way, from today. So I teach middle school, and one of my students came in to my classroom, knowing he'd have my class today, came in wearing the brand new Playoff Snake t-shirt, which is awesome, by the way. And one of my students actually also wore the Lightning jersey for his school picture. So I thought that was awesome. Because I don't see as many Union fans like around, in Lancaster area, So that was pretty cool. But not to get off topic, but I thought that was pretty awesome. But yeah, probably Red Bull was like the most insane crowd, and just the whole vibe was awesome.
And that's what we do best on this podcast, getting off topic, I feel like. But that is fantastic to see, kids at a young age, because, yeah, we want to see more adults pack the stadium, but it starts with the younger generation, right? We talk about it all the time where we want younger kids coming into the river end because one day they're going to be the next generation of capos, the next generation of drummers. They're going to be the people to make this bigger and better than what it currently is. And so you want to see the young kids getting involved, having a team to cheer for. And so, yeah, it might be an hour out from Philadelphia, but to say, hey, look, I'm going to be a Philadelphia Union fan. I'm not going to go ahead and be a DC United fan. I'm not going to go ahead and not pay attention to soccer in my country, because that's my biggest gripe, is that we have soccer here in America and fans just don't want to support it. They don't want to support soccer in the backyard, but they have no problem at all supporting the Premier League. But no, MLS, USL don't want to support any of that. So to see young kids say, yeah, I'm proud to wear this Lightning kit, I'm proud to wear this brand new playoff t-shirt. I mean, that's it starts with that generation. You love to see it. Ricky, you've been to more away games than any of us here on Twitter Spaces, I'm sure, any of us that have been talking. So what are some of your favorite away trips that you've been on?
I figured I would leave the best for last, and I was thinking of two other ones that I really enjoyed that make a lot of sense to mention. Whereas some of them, like, I think a lot of the away games I've been to have not been great because you lose or like the atmosphere is bad. Like when I went to Yankee Stadium, it was that playoff game, and it was the Wednesday night of Halloween, and I was just like, we know we don't play well against this team. We're a possession team at the time. We can't do anything, and New York just plays on the terrible field. Or like when we went to Red Bulls last month, where it was just like, that might have been this month, where it's just like, oh, it's great for us because there's a lot of us here and we win. But like overall, the atmosphere is not killing it in that vibe. And I think a similar thing of the Open Cup final in Houston, where it was just like, there was almost as many like Union people as there was anybody else there. It's like a Wednesday night in the middle of, October. It wasn't a great showing for them. And I think of last year when me, Todd, and Shelby went down to DC, and I was just like, I'm sure if like this team was good, it would be a fun time. And if the stadium wasn't built by like idiots, it would have been a fun time. But like, I think I've just been to a lot of stadiums that aren't like, great right now. They might have been before. Like even the other ones I've been to, like all the US games, they've been pretty fantastic because the US support is pretty good, but the stadium might not be great or whatever. But then the three that I think of, two of them are really obvious, one of them not so much. The one really obvious one was last year. Me, Todd, and Shelby went down to Atlanta. That was the Glesnes goal. We're down like 2-0 in the 81st minute, and like we're all just having a fun time, Went to the aquarium. I've been to Six Flags once already at this point. I went back later that day after the game because it was like a noon game or whatever. And it's just like Atlanta has a good stadium. They have good fans. They're generally a pretty good team. So like they're up for it. You're up for it. There wasn't a lot of us. There was like 10 people maybe, and then a bunch scattered around. But I was like, it's a good atmosphere, even if there's only like 10 of you, you're still having a fun time, you know? The second one, the less obvious one, obviously, the last game at RFK, when we beat DC United 4-0. That was my first like away trip, and I basically went because I was like, oh, I'm out of school. I've got nothing going on. It was May 13th, 2017, based on the scarf on the wall. And I'm just going to read out the four people that scored goals for the Union in this. Harris Medunjanin, Aguchi Onyewu, Fafa Picault, and Fabian Herbers all scored goals on that day. So if that answers any questions about what that team was like, and this was, of course, also the possession-based team, and I think, this is the last year we didn't make playoffs, or it might have been the year we made playoffs and then we didn't make playoffs the next year, and then we've made every year since then. Like, it was not a great team, but it was a fun time, and there was like 100 people down there. I drove down by myself. That was a fun drive back. And then finally, the obvious one, the best experience I've had, 2020, it's March, pandemic hasn't happened yet. Philadelphia Union 3-3 LAFC. It was probably the best soccer game I've ever been to, and I've been to a Dos Acero and to Mexico and Costa Rica now. And it's just like that game, because how high impact the two teams are, like the quality of soccer on the field, fantastic. The atmosphere at the stadium, LA's fans are great. I've never been handed so many beers in my life. Do I drink beer? Not so much. That was an experience. I'm walking around with like 4 beers during the pregame, like, who do I give these to? Because I don't know what to do with my hands right now, literally. They're jumping around. Like, I literally sat next to this guy that was like grew up in Philadelphia and was like a Philly sports fan. We had like a whole conversation. Like on the Glesnes free kick, you can see me jumping up behind the goal. I'm wearing red shorts. Now, do I realize now that red shorts was a bad choice? Yeah, whatever. It was the pair of shorts that I had left over at the end of the week. What can I say? But on an away stadium side, that was a great experience. And I like to think of some of the times where we've had a lot of people in, like when New England would bring down the truckloads because it was part of their season ticket benefits that they could bring as many people, or like the playoff games where Red Bulls bring a bunch of people. Like, it's a great atmosphere. And like, that's the sort of thing that you would like to see more games. Like, it's a bigger country, so it's harder for more people to get to games. But when more people are able to get to an away game, when we have theoretically 80 people in Charlotte for a game that may or may not be postponed or may not be on Sunday because of this. And also, by the way, we're going to have football lines for this game. Fun fact. It's a lot to take in. And I'm looking forward to when I can go back to Cincinnati for a game. Or next year, I'm looking at like maybe a Galaxy game if we play them, or like maybe a Cascadia game, because those all sound like fun times. But we'll see. And definitely, if I ever get the chance, LA's a stadium that I would love to go back to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, away trips are so fun to go on, and I've not had the pleasure to be packed in with a whole bunch of Union fans. Yes, going to Atlanta this season, there was more of us this season than there was last year, like Ricky was talking about. Only like 10 of us, maybe 40 of us, all in a row together this season in Atlanta. A lot of fun, chanting for most of the game. But seeing the crowds that went to DC, yeah, I went down to that game, but I went down to that game as a media member. And so, yeah, there was a ton of fun going to the game as media. And for people that aren't familiar with how Audi Field's set up, the away supporter section is literally right to the left of the press box. And so I heard Union fans from not even the start of the first minute, like before the game started, I heard them walking under the concourse just chanting. I was like, okay, you can tell when the Sons of Ben are here. I don't have to wait on a text from Kyle or Jillian telling me, yep, we're here at the stadium. Now, you could hear them all the way outside the stadium, walking under the concourse, just chanting, making their presence known way before that game happened. And that seems like a lot of fun to be a part of, or watching all the Union fans that went up to New York Red Bull Arena and just hearing how loud you guys were on the broadcast. And that's no field mics. That's because there's more Union fans in that stadium than there is New York Red Bull fans in the supporter section. I know Jim Curtin said after the game, I can't think of a time where our supporters outnumbered a home team's supporter section. It was wild seeing that on the broadcast. And yeah, you could definitely hear that coming through quite clear when you're watching that game at home. But to Jillian and Kyle, this season was your first time ever going to an away game, I believe. And, that can be daunting for a lot of fans where they're like, man, do I go to an away game? I don't know anybody. And it's like, I say it all the time, like, I feel like I'm so connected just because of this podcast. And maybe if I wasn't connected with the podcast, having people come up to me go up to people, just talking union soccer to them, then maybe I wouldn't feel like I know so many people. It wouldn't be that challenging to go to an away game because I know so many people. And it's like, okay, well, I can go ahead and talk about my podcast. I can talk about the union. But it's like, if I don't know people, like I find it hard to talk to people. But because of this podcast, because being a fan of the union, I find it easy to talk to people. But you guys going to your very first away game this season at New York, in New York City at Yankee Stadium, I'm just curious, was that daunting knowing that, okay, this is our first time going? We've never been on a away trip before. Were you guys like, yeah, I don't care if this is our first away trip. We're doing this. We're ready to go.
Yeah, I think we were just like really more pumped than anything. I mean, I was just like taking it all in. I was just super pumped. And the cool thing is, like, along the way, we've gotten to know some people, people that we see around every time. And Kyle's very social. So, like, he'll just start talking to anyone. He's better at that than me. I can be a little shy sometimes. But, we had some great conversations, got to know some people, and, had a blast. And, yeah, I didn't really know what to expect as much going on the away trip. But after that, I was like, oh, man, we got to do another away trip, So it was a pretty incredible experience. And as soon as, like, we saw other ones that were coming up that were, like, close, we're like, okay, we're doing that.
I think for me, kind of going, I've met people. I've got to interact, obviously, at Red Bulls. Ricky was sitting right behind me, and Mike Thomas was right behind me, too. So I got to see people. You get to see people you interact with on social media a lot, and that's cool. And, I keep saying about this, if you've never been to a away game with the Sons of Ben, you get to know people on the buses, people you see at the tailgate, and then next time at the tailgate, you interact with them. I think it's a really cool, fun environment that anybody can and should be a part of, because I think we need more of that.
And the crazy thing is, like, we always talk about union Twitter, right? Where we think we're this big community. But then when you get to the games, it's like, wow, union Twitter is actually really small compared to how big this fan base is. And I definitely don't take union Twitter for granted. I know when the pandemic was going on, we had union happy hour and we had people all over the world calling in, just talking about the union, talking about everyday life and everything. And, you take a smaller group from union Twitter into union happy hour, and seeing the kind of guests that were brought on to those conversations that we were having. I mean, this community is fantastic. And again, I mean, if you're debating on going to an away game, don't debate. Like, it makes it so much easier to go on to an away game when the union are this successful on the road and overall on the season. And yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. Like, right now I'm in vacation in South Carolina, and I was talking to Ricky, I was talking to other people. I'm like, man, I'm trying to find my way to Charlotte. Like, my parents go back home to Maryland, and I'll fly or find my way somehow to Charlotte, and ultimately wasn't able to come up with that. And yeah, I mean, honestly, Charlotte wasn't a stadium that I really wanted to go ahead and check out because they play in a NFL stadium. And I know maybe some of you guys are like, well, you've been to Atlanta twice and they play in an NFL stadium. But I don't know. I feel like they designed Mercedes-Benz Stadium in mind of soccer and not really the case of Bank of America. I believe that's where Charlotte plays. I believe that's the name of the stadium. And then you look and see how good the Union have been on the road. And you're like, man, I got to do everything I can to try to get to the stadium. Or even Kyle and I know Ricky, you both like, oh, you got to come up to the game to Red Bull Arena. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to make that drive. And Ricky, you're like, oh, just meet us halfway and we'll finish the rest of the drive. And then you go ahead and see what the Union do in Red Bull Arena, 2-0, seeing Union fans out sing Red Bull supporters, it's like, man, these are games that I definitely wish I was a part of, wish I would have went to. But again, if you guys are debating whether or not to go on a away trip, if you guys can find it easy to come by, go ahead and take up that opportunity to go on a away trip. Before we bring up the last topic, if anybody wants to jump in here, talk about their favorite away trip that they've ever been on with the Union, go ahead, get them in now. Ricky, Kyle, Jillian, anything else you guys want to add to your favorite away trips, go ahead. And if not, we'll go on to the next topic. All right, cool. We'll go on to the last topic here, and that's something that I talked about here a couple weeks ago with the Union's accurate shooting. And I played a clip from Jim Curtin a few weeks ago with him speaking about why he believes his team's so accurate with shots on target. And I just wanted to bring that back up because we have 2 more games left until the end of the season. There's multiple reasons why the Union have been so deadly this season. But I think one thing that does get overlooked by fans and maybe others in the media as well is the Union currently has a 40.7% of accurate shots on target, which is the most this season in MLS. And I was curious too, with this being the most accurate shooting team in Union history, I decided to look up players in Union's history that have the highest shots on target accuracy with 40 or more shots, and the top 5 come out to be Mikel Ua, 70% of his shots were on target, Daniel Gazdag, 55%, Danny Mwanga, that's a throwback, right? 52%, Chris Punches with 48%, and then 5th, Kasper Schrebelka with 47%. And 2 out of the top 5 most accurate shooters in team history are on this current roster, and I think that's something that shouldn't be overlooked. You feel confident when it's Mikel or Daniel on the ball because they're going to make something happen. 53% of Daniel's shots, which is the 3rd most in MLS, result in a goal. That is insane. So it's like, okay, he might not score on his first shot on target, but then the second shot, because it's over 50%, it's probably going to be a goal, while 40% of Mikel's results in a goal. And this is exactly what you want going into the playoffs. You don't want just one guy carrying the load. You want to have multiple players that can hurt the opposition, and the Union certainly have that. Where you look, Mikel has 3 goals in his last 5 matches. Daniel Gazdag, 6 goals in his last 5 matches. And not only do the Union have the highest shot on target percentage in MLS this season, they're currently tied for the 5th best percentage since 2011 in MLS, with Seattle in first with 43.5%, which was set in 2015. Real Salt Lake at 42.6%, set in 2018. You have Atlanta in third with 40.9 in 2017. New York Red Bulls 40.8 in 2018, and New England in 2015, and this current Union team tied at 40.7% for the most accurate shooting teams since 2011. Just seeing what Mikel and Daniel Gazdag have been doing this season with their shots on target. Whichever one of you guys want to go first, your thoughts on that? Just how impressed have you been from both Daniel and Mikel Ua?
I mean, I think for me, I've been extremely impressed. I think we all knew Daniel was going to pick up smoke at the end of last year. I mean, that's why we were hearing the Gaj dog for MVP quotes, et cetera, during the winter months leading into this season. But I think for me, what's surprising is how quick we knew Mikel could finish. It was just a matter of how could he learn this game. And I've said time and time again, he's been the X factor, I feel anyway, of this whole thing clicking. Yeah, he's third on our top 3 goal scorers. But, the one thing he does is when he gets a chance, it's on net. Or as the Atlanta game, it's on the crossbar, it hits the post. So, I mean, he's very deadly accurate with his finishes. I think from last year to this year, I think the biggest thing is and I think Jim said this, is, with those quick goals, I mean, Jillian and I saw them on Saturday. We walked by, we saw them sitting there. I mean, those things are tiny. So, I mean, the accuracy, you got to put those shots on net. And I mean, not to jump target, but I mean, if Julian can learn to maybe control a couple of those finishes, he can be a great finisher at times. Sometimes he gets a little excited. If he can calm down a little bit and hit those targets better, I mean, I would love to see if he can calm it down at times and finish a little better, what his accurate shots would be and how much deadlier it would be. But overall, yeah, I mean, I'm extremely impressed this year. And also with the amount of shots we're taking and our accuracy is great. Because, I mean, there's some games, yeah, we're hitting, 20 shots, but there's some games, we'll put 2 in the net and we've only, we're shooting under 50. But yeah, our accuracy percentage is at 40, sometimes 50. So, I mean, it's quality shots, it's great set, but I think that's the biggest thing is we're finishing our opportunities this year.
Anybody else have thoughts on the Union's shots on target first with 40.7? I mean, looking at that list, Danny Mwanga, like I said, that's a throwback. Chris Pontius, 48%. Kasper Schwaber gets a lot of hate on this fan base, saying, oh, Kasper's not a great striker, but he's in the top 5 for most accurate shooters in team history. Now, I guess that can be a bad thing and a good thing when you look that the Union don't have a ton of great goal scorers on this team, not a ton of great strikers in general. And I'm sure the Kasper haters out there will say, oh, well, that's why Kasper's in the top 5 because the Union don't have great strikers in their history. But 70% of his shots on target, Mikael Uber. I mean, what a signing that he's been. And I think this season he's been that missing piece that the Union have lacked so much this season. And like I said, hopefully both Daniel and Mikael can carry that into the playoffs. This is exactly what you need come playoffs. We know we have 2 more games left in Charlotte. Hopefully that game gets played. And then decision day at home against Toronto. And I don't know, that Toronto game, we could wind up seeing the Union beat Toronto by 5 or 7 goals because they are terrible defensively.
Yeah. I think for me personally, that Toronto game, if we go in there into the decision day all tied up or, not gonna, jinx it, if we go tied up, I really feel confident with our chances. I feel much more confident about that game than I do about this game on Saturday. This game on Saturday, it's like, let's get those points. Let's wrap up these. But I agree with you. Just having watched some of the Toronto, I see those runs that these guys can make on that back line. Yeah, Toronto can score. We know that. They got the Italians. They can score. But I think if we can get going early, get a couple balls in that, I don't know how invested those guys are going to be to finish out the year, if that makes sense. It might just be, okay, we're going to maybe Insigne tries to maybe gets a goal. But, I mean, at that point, I'm much more focused on one game at a time, getting those in. But that's going to be a raucous crowd, too. I mean, it's sold out already. I mean, I know I'm taking my dad to that game. It's going to be his first game ever. So I'm hoping we have the shield on the line because I want to put up a good experience because he's never been to an MLS game. So I think that game doesn't work. I think we'll get points there.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, ticket update. Jarrett Nisley could not make it tonight to give you guys an update, but he sent me an update for what Ticket Watch looks like. And he says, currently the game's been sold out for 2 weeks now. Standing room only is the only way into the stadium against Toronto. If you want to make sure you are there, buy them before the games this weekend, meaning the Charlotte game this weekend, because usually after the Union have a good game on the road, that's when people go crazy buying tickets. And if the Union win and LAFC loses, Jarrett says those tickets would definitely vanish standing room only against Toronto. And Jarrett says that I have no clue how many allocated SOR tickets they do or how many have been sold. So I'm not sure what SOR is. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm blanking on it. But yeah, Subaru Park, all the seats in the stadium have been sold out for the Toronto game. I'm sure you guys can go ahead on Ticketmaster or StubHub. It's StubHub, right? Where you can buy tickets, but I'm sure they're going to be marked up by a ton of money. But that's pretty much it for me on the podcast. Again, thank you guys for all joining tonight that spoke. For everybody that was here to listen. Again, on vacation, and so this episode's not going to be heavily edited at all. So you people that listen on Twitter Spaces, if you guys go ahead and miss anything and decide to go ahead and check out the podcast to see what you missed, nothing's going to change from Twitter Spaces to what it sounds like on the podcast. The only thing that I'll change is the intro, obviously. But yeah, I'm down here in South Carolina. We're supposed to leave on Saturday, but because of the storm surge coming in, we're under a storm surge warning. Being right on the beach, it's probably smart to leave before that storm surge, starts to take over the roadway. Supposed to bring a lot of rain here, and you look at what's happening in Florida for family and friends that you guys may have, people you might know now down there. Thoughts and prayers with them. Hopefully, people make it out okay. Hopefully people listen and evacuate it. Property can be replaced, lives cannot. And it's great to be able to talk with you guys, Union Soccer, on vacation, but life's more important than soccer or talking here in Twitter Spaces. So again, I'm not going to heavily edit this podcast for you guys. I know I probably missaid a lot of words and everything, but it's all good, right? We're going to keep this thing as live as possible and get a podcast out there for you guys to listen to as soon as possible. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow Free Kick Pod. Wherever you get your podcasts, The Free Kick, and check out the website, thefreekick.net. And I know I usually do a match preview article on the website. Depending on what time I get home, I may throw one up there on the website. May not. As things look, I'll probably get home 1 a.m. Friday morning. So I'll be pretty tired. But again, usually you guys have seen me do match previews on Saturday mornings right before the game. So that could happen for the Charlotte game. But regardless, any Union fans that are on their way down to Charlotte, whether that be flying or driving, hopefully you guys are safe down there. Hopefully you guys do indeed get to see a game this weekend down there. Hopefully the Union get all 3 points. And hopefully LAFC, I believe, has Portland away. So hopefully Portland can go ahead and take some points from LAFC and the Union could have the Supporters Shield in hand. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.